Alright, Alice. Well, it was fun catching up with you again, but it's time to pick our boy. So let's jump in. I'm nervous. I don't know how much this Gretel is gonna be like the Gretel from Cinderella's route. He sometimes scared me. Not gonna lie. I was convinced we were gonna have a bad ending involving him and Cinderella's route. Didn't end up happening. So, let's see what happens. I choose this one! Together, you and Alice reach out to the mirror. Then you walk through the glass and jump down into the looking glass world. Here we go! Where do we end up this time? Ooh, yes. I forgot. New, same intro, but different version of the song, so enjoy, everybody. There we go. The two boys of the hour. Hi, Cinderella. And Red. Love you, boys. And there's my favorite. I like this version. Slightly more intense. Not quite as fantastical sounding as the original, or the one in the first episode. I wonder if we're gonna be back at the cafe in this one. Be kind of weird. Yeah, that bird cage. I could have sworn I saw that. Maybe I imagined it, but... I'm trying to pick out if there's like any hints in the intro now too. Like, is there anything in here that... Well, that's new. Both of those are new. The love gift of a fairy tale. I didn't exactly pick out anything that stood out to me. Not yet. But I'm on the lookout for clues. Okay, I did not imagine. Wow. Start with the facts, ma'am. Okay, I actually haven't seen this room lit up before. It's always been either dark or, like, concealed, so... Alrighty. Let's start with the facts. My name is Yurika Arisu, and I'm 19 years old. Right now, it appears that I'm inside some sort of cabin in the woods. Interesting. I say it appears because I don't actually remember how I got here. Right, I guess I should get into like fairy tale mode. So the story of Hansel and Gretel. They were brother and sister. They left breadcrumbs to find their way back home when their father tried to abandon them. Eventually that plan didn't work. They got lost. They found a house made of candy with a witch that tried to cook them. So, do we have a witch? Who's Hansel in this case, since we have Gretel? Is the cabin the witch's candy house? Okay, we're just starting. I don't have to go this hard into theory crafting already. Let's get some facts. Let's get more facts. I just woke up one day and found myself tied up here in this rustic log cabin. That said, it appears this place has a kitchen and a bathroom and all the other essentials, so... If anything, it feels like a cabin-style studio apartment? Or maybe it's normal for cabins to have these things, I don't know. Anyway! Why am I tied up, you ask? Well, here's the thing. I don't actually know. I don't know if I believe you, Eureka. You've pulled the wool over my eyes before. Just kidding. I think it's probably to prevent any escape attempts on my part. And seeing as I don't have the skills necessary to tie myself up, it's safe to say someone else was behind it. When I first came to, I was completely taken aback. Anyone would be confused if they found themselves tied up on a bed. Am I right? Yeah? Concerned as well, along with the confusion. Especially if they were in a house they didn't recognize. Scary stuff, right? So, naturally, I freaked out. Luckily, I wasn't gagged, so I was free to shout, "Mom! Dad! Somebody save me!" to my heart's content. But I quickly discovered that doing so was futile, and so I fell silent. Or maybe I was just in shock. How so, you ask? Because I was so overloaded with emotions that, for a moment, I forgot how to function. It's shocking enough to find oneself tied up, but with everything else on top of that, suffice it to say, it's enough to short-circuit your brain. Anyway, now you're all caught up. Gretel?
Feeling calmer now?
I rolled onto my side in the direction of the familiar voice. There I spotted a pair of crossed legs atop a chair. My gaze slowly shifted upward, taking in the rest of him. Long, slender legs, a handsome face, a presence that was mature beyond his years. I blinked again and again, wondering if maybe this was all just a dream. But it wasn't. Oh, wait, what? Okay, so it is you. I worry about these implications. I just got, like, the goosebumpies. Sister, you say? Okay. Well, let's start off spicy.
Hello, sister.
Gretel, age 18, closed his book and offered me a radiant smile, which was, in my opinion, unbefitting of my current predicament. Yes, he was my brother. My younger brother. By blood, or... And he was also the mastermind who brought me here. I thought you didn't remember... Huh? Hi, Gretel. I hate to be a bother, but do you think maybe you could untie me now? I kept my tone polite and formal to avoid offending him.
I'm afraid not. If I untied you, you'd only run away, wouldn't you?
I won't! I swear!
You swear? To whom?
To whom do you swear? To my master? I mean, I kind of suspected he was a yandere, and maybe I'm getting confirmation now, but I'm going to assume this is good. To you, obviously.
I don't actually care one way or the other.
He shrugged off his own question before I could even answer it. One of those then why bother asking me kind of moments.
Sister?
Yes?
There's no need for you to stand on formalities with me. I'm your one and only brother. Besides, you used to treat me like a peer. What changed?
What changed is the question I should be asking you. You were never the kind of guy who would do this. Were you? For some reason, my head was throbbing and I couldn't quite remember. Is it really you, Gretel?
What a silly question, sister. It's me, your innocent baby brother Gretel.
Innocent my ass! What are you going to do to me?
Nothing. We're going to live here, just the two of us. Really, it won't be any different from before.
No, I highly doubt.
No. You refuse me, do you? Well then, I'll have to rethink this. Perhaps I'll leave you here to rot.
No, you misheard me. I said no, like the mask. Or maybe I said nor. Yeah, that must be it, nor. This was, admittedly, the world's least plausible excuse.
I'm just joking. You know I would never abandon you, right? Although I won't be with you every hour of every day.
At this, my eyes widened.
Oh, but don't worry. Obviously, I'll be sure to lock you up nice and tight so you can't escape while I'm gone.
Oh. Wait, I didn't even get like a lead up to this. I'm just locked up right from the get-go. You didn't even like ease me into it, man. You didn't even like make me tea or nothing. Is this allowed? Is this legal, sir? I have questions. In an instant, my hopes were dashed and despair washed over me. I was tempted to ask him, "Are you out of your mind?" But given the current situation, it was clear the answer was yes, and I wasn't eager to provoke him. Why are you doing this?
Why? Because you wanted me to. Isn't that right?
No, I really don't think.
You don't think what? Are you refusing me again?
No, you misheard me. What I said was, I really daisuki. Daisuki! At this, Gretel actually smiled and blushed, if you can believe it.
You love me? That's very sweet of you. I love you too, sister.
And now he's back to his innocent baby brother shtick. Okay, I'm officially confused now. If you really loved me, you'd untie me.
I'm afraid I can't.
Yeah, I figured. I let out a dry laugh. Gretel shook his head in disappointment.
Oh, you'd be perfect if only you kept your mouth shut. That said, I still love you, even if you constantly sabotage your own sex appeal.
Well, dang! I mean, if you tied her up, why didn't you gag her? I mean, thanks, but I'm so confused. If I wasn't tied up, I would have kicked him in the shin for that. Just the shin, eh? I'd aim a little higher. Okay, for now, can you just untie my legs?
What, so you can kick me in the shin? Absolutely not.
Me? Kick you? I was smiling, but I had a feeling he didn't buy it.
Fine, you win. I'll untie you. To be fair, it'll be easier for me if you're able to walk around without my help.
Thank you, Gretel. He didn't really deserve my gratitude, considering he was the one who tied me up in the first place, but whatever. I rolled over to point the knots in his direction.
You don't have to do that, you know.
I was hoping maybe he'd untie my hands while he was back there, but unfortunately I wasn't that lucky.
There you go.
And with that, he pulled the rope away. Thanks. I wiggled my newly freed legs, stretching my stiff muscles.
Have you considered acting a little more ladylike for a change?
Why, just as soon as you untie my hands, my good sir, I answered sarcastically in my most elegant voice. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw him reach for my shoulder. Ah! He rolled me onto my back and climbed on top of me. His weight pinned my thighs in place, preventing me from flailing around. I'm uncomfortable with all these facial expressions. I'm just gonna state that for the record. I could feel my chest heaving. What are you going to do to me?
Nothing. Like I said, we're just going to live here from now on.
But why?
Because it's safe here. I'm going to protect you, sister.
You call this safe? This?
Of course.
My body went limp in defeat. Okay, fine. I don't really get why this has to happen, but I'll take your word for it. You're my precious baby brother, after all.
Now that's the sister I know and love.
Satisfied, Gretel hopped off me and adjusted his shirt collar.
Say, are you hungry? I could whip something up.
Yes, please. Okay, we're learning quickly. I could see him in the kitchen prepping the food. Similar to a studio apartment, there was only one main room in this cabin, so there were no walls between us. I could see him, and naturally he could see me. He retrieved some eggs, milk, and veggies from the fridge, then a frying pan and a bowl from the cupboard. From that, I surmised that he was probably making an omelet. Okay, so he doesn't just make candy this time. So I decided to get up and walk around the cabin on my own 2 feet. Gretel didn't seem too concerned with my meandering, so I took that to mean I was free to do so. It made sense, I suppose. My hands were tied, literally, so there wasn't much I could do to try to escape. He wouldn't have freed my legs if he wasn't confident I would remain trapped. He had all his bases covered, and frankly, I was impressed. I walked over to the window and gazed out at the scenery. We were surrounded by tall, dense trees. Evidently, we were in a forest somewhere, and no amount of shouting would save me. Next, I stood in front of the door. The sole portal to the outside world was locked up tight, and with my hands bound, I wouldn't be opening it anytime soon. Actually, it was possible I could make it work with a lot of effort on my part, but with Gretel here supervising me, I didn't stand a chance. Next, I walked over to the wood-burning stove. Whoa, don't see one of these every day. I'd heard these stoves were a hassle to work with, lots of careful ventilation and upkeep required. I peered through the little glass window at the dancing flames within. The crackle of the fireplace, the woody scent, nice and eco-friendly. And so, after just a few steps around the cabin, I had now attained a deeper understanding of my circumstances. Long story short, I wasn't going to get a single whiff of fresh air without Gretel's explicit permission. Not to be a broken record, but again, this place was furnished like a studio apartment with a kitchen, a bathroom, a bed, and all the other amenities needed for one's daily life, including a giant birdcage. It was clear Gretel wasn't kidding around. He was dead serious about the two of us living here. Finally, I looked at the giant birdcage sitting in the center of the room. I'm like, are we never going to address this birdcage? It was nothing short of bizarre. Never in my life had I seen a birdcage large enough for a person to walk inside. One word came to mind. Prison. Why did Gretel bring me here against my will? To protect me? Was I under threat of attack from some external force and I just didn't realize it? Want some help? I called out to Gretel as he busied himself in the kitchen. Sure enough, he was making an omelet. Next to him was a jar full of little star candies in every color of the rainbow. He took a few and popped them into his mouth. As I stared at him, he eventually noticed my gaze.
Did you want some candy?
Yeah!
Too bad.
Aw, rats.
This candy is for me. You can't have any or you'll get fat.
Ooh, that's a nice twist. I like that. Yeah, the witch was fattening them for cooking. But he doesn't want to make her fat. Oh, Alright. You got me with that one. I didn't really have a comeback for that.
I don't need your assistance, so feel free to have a seat.
Okay. Not like I'd be of much help with my hands tied anyway. I walked over and sat in the chair positioned beside the cage. Phew. Frankly, the mere sight of this giant thing was enough to kill my mood. I had the sinking feeling my dear brother would throw me into it the second I pissed him off.
Sister, food's ready.
Gretel walked over, carrying a piping hot omelet on a plate. I'm not going to be able to eat that without my hands, you know.
Sure you can. I'll feed it to you.
Oh. Oh, God. I'm sorry, but this particular part is karma. How does it feel to be on the receiving end, girl?
Here we go, sister. Open wide and say, "Aww."
Ah? I opened my mouth, and as promised, he fed me a spoonful of omelet.
How is it?
I nodded, my mouth full of food. It's good.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. Be sure to eat these vegetables as well.
Okay. He fed it all to me, one bite after another, so quickly that I scarcely had any time to savor it. Under any other circumstances, this spoon feeding might have been cute or romantic, but not like this. Wait! Gretel, that's enough! You can stop now!
You sure?
Very sure. I'm stuffed. It was great, though. Thank you for making it.
Alas. Well, alright.
He lowered the spoon away from my lips and slid the bite of food into his own mouth instead.
Not bad. But I'm afraid my cooking just doesn't hold a candle to yours.
You think so? You know, I'm happy to cook for you anytime.
Oh, I just remembered, sister.
He promptly ignored my suggestion.
I made dessert, too.
You did?
And guess what it is? Macarons!
Macarons? Macarons! The king of all sweets! The pinnacle of confection!
Interested?
Would you like dessert? I would like answers. I would like to know why. I have so many questions and no answers to any of it. I mean, yeah, fat. Maybe I need to get fat so that he falls out of love with me? Is that what I'm trying? He doesn't want me to become fat, so I should become fat? Is that what I'm trying to do? I don't know. Yes?
Okay then, I'll go get them. Just a moment.
Now I understood. My desires didn't matter. He didn't actually care. Did he go without me even answering? Gretel walked back to the fridge, opened it, and pulled out his chilled macarons. The colorful confections were neatly stacked inside a decorative cocktail glass for a very classy effect. He took the pink one at the top of the stack and fed it to me.
Here you are, sister. A macaron for dessert. Now, say ah.
Ah. The chili meringue hit my tongue, and as I bit down, I tasted the buttercream filling. It's so good!
You mean it?
Of course! Your desserts are the best! And as I spoke, I thought back to the last time I said the exact same thing. Brrr. Please, give me some background. My name is Eureka Arisu, and I'm 19 years old. I have a younger brother named Gretel. He has perfect grades, perfect manners, perfect looks. The very picture of an honor student. Okay, we got a reverse cafe look going on. Slowly, soundlessly, I pushed the door open. Through the crack, I could see my brother sitting at his desk doing schoolwork. Holding my breath, I slipped inside and pounced on him from behind. Gretel!
Whoa!
Gretel slumped forward under my weight, but quickly recovered and extricated himself from the arms I had wrapped around his neck.
Buzz off, sister. I'm studying right now, so leave me alone.
I can help you! I snatched the textbook off his desk.
Hey, that's mine!
Wait, what the? I stared down at the page. These were advanced math formulas. Definitely not something they taught at community college.
After I graduate, I'll be going to the same university as you, so I figured...
Shouldn't you be studying for entrance exams first? Oh, right, I guess you don't need to. If anything, entrance exams would be a step down from the level he was currently studying at. Ooh, I can't wait for you to join me at college!
You seem excited.
Of course I am! I've been dreaming about this forever! We'll be attending the same school, and we could eat lunch together if you wanted. Oh, and we could walk home together!
We already walk home together.
This was true, of course. I went to Gretel's community college every single day and waited for him to come out. Then the two of us would walk home together. At first, he was horrified to find me at his school, but over time he learned to tolerate it. But it'll be different once we're both going to the same school.
Ugh. Have you considered that maybe it's time for you to stop clinging all over me? It's embarrassing.
No! I don't want to let go! I wrapped my arms around him in a big hug.
Stop! I can't breathe!
He smacked my arm like he was tapping out. Oops! Sorry. Lost control of my love for a minute there. I let go of him.
God, don't do that again! Good grief.
He reached into a nearby jar of candy, pulled out a red one, and popped it into his mouth. Oh, that reminds me. What do you want for dinner tonight? Anything in particular? I want to treat my hard worker to something nice.
Anything's fine.
You sure? If you tell me I can make anything, I'm gonna make whatever I want.
Go for it. Everything you make is delicious.
Don't say that! Now I'm obligated to make something really good.
That's exactly why I said it.
He smiled slightly. Then our eyes met, and I instantly became conscious of how close our faces were. I stepped away from him, clasped my hands behind my back, and leaned forward. Well then, guess I'll get started on dinner. I'll come get you when it's ready, okay?
Yes, please.
He waved me away without even looking at me. Now then. I left his room and headed down to the kitchen on the first floor. Each step made the hardwood floor creak, reminding me of the house's deteriorating condition. No surprise there, of course. This building was constructed long before I was born. It wasn't your ordinary house either. Originally, it was built as a cafe, but at some point, someone remodeled it into a house. Okay, well that's a little backwards from Cinderella's route. You often hear about people adding a storefront to their house, but seldom the other way around. That said, the cafe area was still fully intact, so there wasn't much remodeling done at all. Even the cupboards were still the same, although we'd obviously bought new silverware. The living quarters were located on the second floor. At one point, they were rented out as apartments. But now it was the Arisu family residence. All in all, this retro cafe had quite the history. So I don't live in a mansion by myself. I live in a cafe turned home. Okay. Why did we live here, you ask? Well, my family jumped on the cafe bandwagon back when they were all the rage, but changing trends eventually forced them to close down. Just kidding. It's actually more complicated than that. The truth is, my parents were just a couple of weirdos with eclectic tastes. They found a retro cafe in a scenic little backwater town and decided to buy it. There was no hard work put into it. It wasn't their lifelong dream. They simply had too much money on their hands. But seeing as that excess money now afforded me a roof over my head, I was at least a little bit grateful. My parents had their own place in the city where they worked, and they rarely came out to see us. So for the most part, Gretel and I were essentially on our own. So still absentee parents, but Mr. Huntsman is not our brother, Gretel is. A good friend of mine once teased me for having a house as weird as the family that lives in it. Frankly, I couldn't agree more. In the kitchen, I opened the fridge and took out some eggs and veggies. Tonight's dinner, omelets. Why omelets, you ask? Because I wanted to get back at Gretel for forcing me to make something good. My plan was to make a really decadent sauce to drizzle on top. That way it would seem fancier than it was. I pulled out a chocolate bar tucked away in the back corner of the fridge. Would he get mad at me if I used this? I figured chocolate sauce would pair with eggs really nicely, but I wasn't sure. The fridge was home to all kinds of chocolate, from ordinary candy bars to fancy truffles in their own little box. All of it belonged to Gretel. Believe it or not, he had a massive sweet tooth. He was a total nerd for all things sugary. He was always up to date on the latest products from his favorite stores, and whenever a new one opened up, he was among the first to try them. Whenever a given dessert went viral online, he would either visit the store in person or have it shipped to our house. He was so obsessed with chocolate he put middle-aged women to shame. After a long internal debate, I put the chocolate back. If I used it without asking, Gretel was guaranteed to be furious with me, no doubt about it. One time, when I was desperately craving sweets, I ate a cream puff I found in the fridge. The result? Man, a memory within a memory.
You ate it, didn't you?
Huh? Oh, yeah, sorry. It was in the fridge, so I figured...
What is wrong with you? That cream puff is a limited edition made with top-of-the-line ingredients. They only make 50 per day, so they're almost impossible to get. I waited in line at the crack of dawn just to get one, but then you came along and vacuumed it up with your big stupid mouth. I can't believe this.
I'm really sorry, okay? I'll buy you another one. That face.
If you're sorry you ate it, then don't eat it in the first place. I wanted to have my cream puff right this moment. My mouth was hungry for it. My tongue was ready. But then I discovered that my precious cream puff was gone. Yes, for it had already slid down your ungrateful gullet, never to return.
In the end, I finally won his forgiveness by buying him a box of award-winning truffles from some famous patissier. Total price, $75. He was generally a pretty laid-back guy, but when it came to sweets, all bets were off. In his head, sweets? Much greater than me. Thus, I gave up on the chocolate sauce idea, probably better not to have chocolate for dinner anyway, and decided to go with something more healthy that wouldn't clash with dessert. So I put the chocolate back and took out the spinach instead. Then I got to work.
Sister.
Oh hey, what happened to studying? As I blended my boiled spinach into a paste in the food processor and cracked some eggs into a bowl, Gretel walked in.
My motivation's dead now that you broke my concentration.
I hung my head guiltily.
Just kidding. I've already made good progress for today, and I was tired of sitting around my room, so I thought I'd come help you.
Gretel looked at the ingredients I had lined up on the counter.
Making omelets.
Spinach omelets, to be precise. You need to eat your veggies.
Let me help.
I've got this. You go entertain yourself for a while.
Okay. Then, I guess I'll watch you work.
As he spoke, he took a seat at the dining table. You're just going to watch me? That's it?
You're the one who said I couldn't help.
Gretel cupped his chin in his hands and smiled defiantly at me. Pouting my lips, I ignored him and set about scrambling my eggs with a whisk. Little punk. Next, I added the spinach paste into the bowl with my freshly beaten eggs. In a blink, the mixture's color changed from Kiro to Midori. Then, while I was distracted with other prep work... What? I noticed Gretel had grabbed the fancy truffles from the fridge and was now eating them. You're eating more candy? Here I am making dinner for my precious baby brother and you're spoiling your appetite. Disrespectful, don't you think? But despite my annoyed scowl, Gretel didn't much care.
It's fine. I have a separate stomach for desserts.
I'm gonna remember that for a later date. Meanwhile, he carried on eating his truffles like they weren't $5 a pop.
These are decent, I guess.
Just decent? They're decorated like precious gems! As I stared at him, he offered me a half smirk.
Want one?
Yeah!
Well then, do you know how to ask nicely?
Please, Master Gretel, bestow your blessings upon my sorry soul. I clasped my hands melodramatically.
Perfect. Now, say ah.
He held up one of the truffles between his thumb and forefinger and offered it to me. Ah! I opened my mouth and caught it on my tongue. It's good! These were worth every penny. Not only were they pretty to look at, but the chocolate was rich and melted in my mouth.
I could make better truffles easy.
Then let's see it. Not only was the Prince of Sweets obsessed with eating them, he was passionate about making them too. And he was extremely talented at it.
I would, but you're using the kitchen right now.
How about after I finish up?
Sure, that works.
Then I'd better finish up quick. I started working even more swiftly than before. Funny how it's easier to focus on work when there's a reward close at hand. And so I dished up dinner in a flash.
Now that's a novel color.
Pretty, isn't it? The omelets were deep green in color. Under them was bright red tomato sauce. Quite the striking contrast, if I do say so myself.
Time for a taste test.
He took a bite of his green omelet and fell quiet. How is it? Unable to endure the silence, I asked his opinion.
Everything you cook turns out delicious, no matter what.
More delicious than chocolate from a famous chocolatier?
Don't flatter yourself.
Ouch! I already knew my brother was a monster, but damn! He snickered at my utter defeat.
I'm just joking. Sweets aren't the same thing as regular food, so there's no comparing the two. I would say this dish is at least restaurant quality.
You think so? I tried to act modest, but my face was already beaming. Our lives were quiet and peaceful and happy, and we were both so sure that it would all last forever. Huh? I opened my hazy eyes to find myself back in the one-room cabin. I was sitting in a chair, my hands still tied behind my back. Apparently, I had nodded off at some point. When I tried to stand up, a sudden wave of dizziness hit me and I nearly fell over. Thankfully, Gretel was there to catch me. What did you put in my food?
Are you all right, sister?
Gretel. When I saw the concern in his eyes, I let out a sigh of relief and buried my face in his chest. Strange, isn't it? He was the one keeping me here against my will, and yet I trusted him completely. Yeah, very strange, to say the least.
Sister.
In response, he wrapped his arms around me tightly. I was having this dream. A dream about the past. You know the time I made green omelets for dinner? How long ago was that anyway? Try as I might, I couldn't remember more than that. Then Gretel drew his lips to my ear.
You must be tired, sister. Get some rest.
He scooped me into his arms and carried me to the bed. I'm just dealing with some Toma emotions. I'm just letting the wave crest over me, dealing with it. Moving forward. Gretel.
What is it? Do you need something?
After he lowered me onto the bed, he started to stroke my hair. He was acting less like a brother and more like a boyfriend. Come on. Don't you think you could untie me now? At my words, his hand fell still. His gentle gaze turned to ice.
Absolutely not. The second I do, you'll bolt, won't you?
I won't go anywhere. We're out in the woods somewhere, right? And it's already dark out. I can't wander through a forest in the middle of the night. I hadn't checked outside the window, but the lights were on, so it had to be nighttime. Besides, I know you're only doing this to protect me, right?
Of course.
So why would I want to put myself at risk? I won't. Trust me. He didn't respond immediately, so I hastily continued. Besides, I really want to take a bath, you know? And I can't do that while my hands are tied up. What I meant was closer to powder my nose, but proper ladies never directly reference the toilet.
Oh, you want to take a bath? Obviously, I'd have to untie you for that. Not like I can wash your naked body myself.
What? I yelped in surprise.
Wash your naked body myself.
His words reverberated in my head. The incident sank in, white-hot humiliation shot through me. What are you?
I meant what I said. Me scrubbing your naked body.
What? The captor, running his hands all over his wet, naked captive? That's so sexual! It's R-rated! He only just turned 18. It's inappropriate! It's scandalous! Never mind that. He's your brother. Never mind the rest of it. I'm so... What am I jumping into? What is this? Where am I? Shin, help me. Oh my god, okay.
You appear to be blushing, dear sister.
Gretel smirked at me provocatively. No, I'm not! I denied it purely on reflex, but considering it was my own face, obviously I could tell that it was true. Evidently, Gretel found my reaction hilarious because he burst out laughing, clutching his sides.
You don't have to be so self-conscious about it, sister. I'm your little brother, remember?
Biting my lip, I glared back at the little punk. I knew it wouldn't be very intimidating given my flushed state, but I had to try. And when I realized it was hopeless, I gave up and rolled onto my other side away from him. Forget it. I admit it. I was sulking.
I thought you wanted to take a bath.
I do. The next thing I knew, he had untied my hands. Having regained total control over my limbs, the first thing I did was push myself into a sitting position. Then I touched a hand to my messy hair. Ugh. Without my hands, I can't even comb my hair.
Oh, who cares if your hair is tangled? Not like anyone will see it.
I interpreted this to mean that I wasn't going to have any visitors anytime soon. You'll see it, though.
Is it me you're thinking of when you make yourself presentable? Even though I'm your brother?
Looking at Gretel's expression, I felt like he was testing me. Will you pick a lane and stay in it? Yeah, totally. Anyway, I'm gonna go take my bath now.
Just a moment.
Right as I hopped off the bed, he grabbed my arm. What?
If you're going to take a bath, you should get at least partially undressed out here.
Why? My voice went up an octave.
Because the bathroom is small and cramped, and you have a lot of layers to take off. Isn't that right?
Surprisingly enough, he had a valid point. I'm sure I'll be fine. A little struggle never hurt anybody.
This dress has a zipper in the back, correct? I'll help you out of it.
No, I couldn't possibly ask that of you. I desperately tried to decline, but his bright smile didn't waver.
Just let me.
He yanked my arm and forced me back onto the bed. Gretel! I sat there staring back at him. My heart was pounding like crazy. What part of the... what... Ah! I need help! Somebody send the police! Ah!
First, we'll start with your legs.
Wait! Ah! I squirmed as he plunged a hand under my skirt with no hesitation. Stop! His fingers brushed my skin through the fabric of my tights and it tickled like crazy. I tried to push him away, but he pushed back and I ended up flat on my back on the bed once more. What angle am I looking at? Do I even want to take a better look at this? I mean, I guess so. I'm just... This is like not the appropriate musical track for this part. I'm just gonna say it now. Stop that! Hey! Please, no more!
Settle down now. You're making this harder on me.
But... How on earth was I supposed to sit back and let him take my clothes off? I flailed around, desperate to escape.
Damn it. I should have stripped you before taking the ropes off.
As he spoke, he pinned my wrist together with one hand. Ya bye! Gretel, please! Breathing heavily, I looked up at him with damp eyes.
If you look at me like that, you're going to give me the wrong idea. Luckily, it's just me. But if it was anyone else, they'd be having their way with you right now.
Are you not literally having your way with me right now? Girl, for real. Nah! Yeah! Then he grabbed my waist and I let up my biggest scream yet.
Okay, I finally got it. Hold still, because I'm about to pull it off.
I was so mortified. All I could do was nod vehemently in a please just get this over with sort of way.
I guess I need both hands for this.
Evidently, he was having trouble because he promptly slid his other hand under my skirt. I struggled not to make another sound. If anyone were to witness my brother fumbling around under his sister's skirt, it was all over for us. I'm afraid you've got many witnesses right now. But to be clear, neither of us were getting off on this. We were just enjoying a pure, heartwarming brother-sister moment. I don't know who you're lying to. Disregard the fact that the only sound was that of heavy breathing and the flutter of clothes. It was a touching exchange. In more ways than one. With my tights off, Gretel's fingers naturally brushed against my bare skin. The feeling was more raw and intense than it was through the fabric, and it gave me goosebumps. Oh yeah, it's just pure, wholesome brother-sisterness going on. Yep, that's what that face says.
Getting goosebumps. You're very sensitive to my touch, aren't you?
What is this, a Harlequin novel? Gretel! Blushing beet red, I glared at him sharply. He lowered his gaze slightly and started to snicker.
I can't. I'm sorry, sister. I just...
Clutching his sides, Gretel laughed uncontrollably until there were tears in his eyes. The sight made me feel so utterly humiliated. This man was mocking me for my honest feelings. If anyone should have had tears in their eyes, it was me!
There you are, sister. I've removed your tights for you.
Gee, thanks. He held them up between his thumb and forefinger like he was trying to rub them in my face. Gee, thanks! I snatched them away from him. I'm gonna choke you out with these now.
Now for your zipper.
I'm good! By this, what I meant was no thank you. I assure you, I did not mean...
Ready to go, are we? Someone's an eager beaver.
Instead, my jerk brother willfully misinterpreted me, then put his hands on my shoulders and flipped me over like a dead fish. Do we weigh like 20 pounds? Like, what's happened to us? I landed face first on the sheets and my back arched like an orca. That's very specific.
Oh, your clothes are so needlessly complicated.
Holding me down with one hand, he used the other to painstakingly loosen each of the ribbons on my corset. I can do it myself!
Yes, whatever you say. Just stay still.
As I flailed in protest, he climbed onto the bed and straddled me. I groaned beneath his added weight. In contrast to my misery, however, Gretel sounded downright cheerful.
No need to be shy, you know. I can tell it must be hard to get out of this without assistance.
And then he set about removing my corset altogether. Having given up on resisting, I lay there perfectly still, like a salmon on ice at the grocery store.
Why couldn't you be this cooperative from the start?
Just hurry up and strip me.
Now that sounds suggestive.
Ah! I flailed my one free arm.
You just don't get it, do you? Those cute little reactions are only going to encourage me.
Then I'll make funny faces at you.
Oh, I'll give you a funny face, all right.
I went back to salmon mode. Humming to himself, he promptly went back to my clothes. Then the pressure against my waist disappeared, and I knew he'd removed my corset. Next, he grabbed the zipper and pulled it down.
White, huh? You've always liked that color, haven't you?
I buried my face in the sheets. I couldn't take any more teasing. Fortunately, this seemed to work against him because he let out an annoyed sigh.
There, you're all unzipped now.
Yeah, I noticed. Now get off me! You're crushing me, stupid!
Oh, right. Whoops.
You were totally doing that on purpose. Then the added weight vanished and I let out a big sigh of relief. I clutched my dress to my chest so it wouldn't fall to the floor. At this point, If someone saw me with my messy hair and state of undress, they'd think something very different happened on this bed. I mean, it was close enough at this point, I think. Yeah.
You don't have to hold it up, you know. Your arms are still in the sleeves.
Touché. I'm just making sure, that's all.
And another thing, sister. Seeing as I was generous enough to help you undress, don't you think you ought to thank me?
Thank you. My tone was so flat you could balance a cup of water on it. Nice.
You're very welcome.
Ignoring my snickering brother, I headed for the bathroom.
Sister?
Huh? I turned back to find him smiling at me sternly.
That's the front door, not the bathroom.
Oh, right. I hastily changed course.